This project started as just a simple pair of pattern-hacked shorts, and then my inability to be normal took over. Let me explain. I'm about to test how far one fabric can go before it becomes overwhelming. So we're gonna make a 3-piece outfit out of this and find out if it actually works or if I come out of this experiment looking like my toddler dressed me. All right, so let's go through the plan. First up, we have All Reliable, and we're going in with this Sienna trouser pattern by NH Patterns. And I've made this a few times before. Like, you've probably noticed the galah pants that I'm wearing right now, my obscenely colorful other pair of the exact same pants. Also, I love this pattern. It's tried and true. She's a beauty, she's easy, and she is so comfy. Love her. So basically what I'm doing with this, I'm just gonna turn them into shorts. So instead of making full-length pants, I just need to fold the excess length out of the way and do that. And then I think I'm gonna cut a second drawstring so that down the side seams, I can add a cute little tie detail. So instead of having like a fully closed seam down the side seam, there'll be some cute bows there. Pretty easy. I'm also not going to do the pockets because the pockets are the most time-consuming part of this, and I don't really need the inseam pockets. I am going to put patch pockets on the back, and let's pray that, unlike the last time I did patch pockets, I actually get them in a spot on my backside that makes sense. And second, we have the ME 2028 top that I have made before. From past experience, I made the size my measurements said I should, and that came out too big on me. So what we're going to do this time is I'm going to size it down, and I'm going to do a corseted side. I did the corseted side last time because I just could not be bothered with a zipper, but I didn't bone the side seam where the lacing was, so it just kind of collapses in on itself, and it wasn't the nicest look overall. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to chuck a piece of boning down the side of all 4 side seams. And now that I've sized down my pattern on that, hopefully it will fit a little bit better than the last one did. And we're pretty much going to disregard all of the sewing instructions on that one because I'm not doing almost anything that the pattern tells me to do. I'm just going to sew it together on vibes and the knowledge that I have from sewing consistently for the last 6 months. And lastly, what was not on my bingo card, at least this early on in the year, was to be scrolling Pinterest for colored set inspiration and coming across a shirt with sleeves so dramatic that they were perfection. And bonus, it was by an Australian designer called Shona Joy, so we're going to try and recreate this and just hope that I can do it some justice. It's just going to be aiming for the general vibe of the shirt. We're not trying to recreate it exactly because honestly I wouldn't even know where to start, but what I can do is download a pattern from Mood Fabrics. We're doing the Wren shirt and, you know, try and cobble together something that looks at least sort of like the inspo. But this particular piece is my biggest potential for regret. So now that we have our plan, let's get cracking. Lighting is a little bit shit because I can't be bothered moving my light, okay guys? We're just gonna deal. But I have sewn my crotch seams and I've overlocked them, so we're just gonna press them to one side. And thought we'd have a little chat. You wanna chat? Do you like a good yap? I like a good yap. I can't go to bed tonight until these shorts are pretty much completely done. There is a reason for that. Normally, I do majority of my work on a Sunday. However, last week, my kids were really sick. Like, the whole family got sick. Like, my oldest, she's 9, she brought something home from school. She didn't get it that bad. Like, she barely had a sniffle. But by the time it passed to me and her dad, it had mutated, obviously, because we went down like a ton of bricks. And then the 2 littles got it as well. And the 2 littles really suffered, especially because the 2-year-old, he does not want to take medicine. Doesn't matter how bad he's feeling, he does not want to take it, and trying to get it into him was honestly I don't know who was more traumatized, me or him. I tried just shooting it down the back of his throat because I know he's real crafty. He knows when we try and mix it in with other things, so that didn't really work. And eventually we just had to sort of switch it up. We couldn't use the same food twice. We had to hide it in different things because if you tried the same one twice, he knew. He figured it out. He was like, no, I'm not eating this. Not gonna do it. So that was fun. And the baby, the poor little 9-month-old, she got it too. And she was she was in pretty good spirits for most of it. There was one night though where she was not, and that was not fun. Not fun at all. Really, I don't recommend, like, 9-month-old with a cold and congestion. Nope. So we had both kids in our bed pretty much for 3 nights straight, the entire night. Now, both of them usually end up in bed with us. They go to bed in their own beds. They wake up through the night. We like sleep, so we just go and get them and they sleep with us, and they're both big enough now that it's not that controversial. I mean, it probably still is, but do I care? No. My kids are fine. But anyway, they have been in bed with us for 3 nights straight by that point. So Sunday, I was so exhausted, and that is my usual day to just, I get the entire day to myself. It's my one day of the week where it's mine. And I decided not to do anything. So I am paying for that tonight because now I can't go to bed until this is done. Because now that I have 2 other items I have to make this week as well, I really need these done. So I'm gonna keep going. On the bright side, once I have done the side seams, like, it's pretty straightforward and they're almost done. So I started sewing about, maybe half an hour ago. Let's see how long this takes me to do. It is currently 11:30 at night, and I'm probably gonna make a coffee before I continue because I don't know how long I'm gonna be up for. So I think coffee is a necessity at this point. I started off with potentially one of my poorer life choices and decided to go onto the buttonholes for the waistband. I did my test buttonhole, drank my coffee, went on to the actual buttonholes for the waistband. And that's where everything snagged because the first buttonhole, after my test one being perfect, decided to absolutely not work out. And so I resigned myself with this, that I would be spending the next half an hour seam ripping the buttonhole just to redo it again. This was the moment that Dorito blessed me and then very, very quickly decided he did not want to actually commit to that and it was too much for him, so he skedaddled real fast again. And then I just continued to pin my side seams, which needed to be sewn as the next step of this pair of shorts. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm pinning my little heart out, making sure that I have enough pins in this thing to hold the pieces together so that I don't stuff up my seam allowance, because I have a real bad habit of not always paying super close attention to how my pieces of fabric are actually sitting together and then really regretting it because one of them will be a couple of mils off and it's just, it looks a bit of a mess. But anyway, that was not the crucial mistake that I made when sewing this side seam. No, that is about to dawn on me right about now. I forgot to leave room for the slit. So obviously this meant more seam ripping, again, why? And inserting the ties to go in that little slit that I needed to create up the side. So, I got my big girl panties on and I did the thing. All right, I'm going to quickly finish off my pants. I might have to actually finish them tomorrow because my camera's going to die. So, fun.
The next day.
I did indeed have to sort of change direction and continue the pants the next day, even though I said I had to finish them before I went to bed. I couldn't. I needed sleep. I do not function well when I am tired. So I came back next morning fully rocking the gremlin mode because that is my entire aesthetic when I am in my house, especially first thing in the morning pre-coffee. Basically, we just ironed down the waistband, stitched that down with a 3mm stitch length, and inserted the elastic. And at that point, after I inserted the elastic, I also realized that I didn't open up the buttonholes to be able to thread the drawstring through. So I had to very carefully open those up with the seam ripper, and let's just say it's not something I care to do again. It was a little bit nerve-wracking. I was terrified I was going to slice right through my buttonholes. So I highly, highly, highly do not recommend having to do that. Don't make the same mistake as me. The shorts are essentially done. They were too long. They came down to my knees. I thought I measured the inseam correctly before I actually adjusted the pattern and cut them out. Turns out I did not. So I trimmed off some length from the bottom. I have no idea how much I trimmed off, but they're shorter. I just need to rehem them now. So hopefully when I'm finished doing the new hem, they will actually be mid-thigh, which is what I wanted. So to wrap up the shorts project, I would give them, I mean, they're a 5. They're so easy to do. So 5 out of 5. Easy pattern to follow. The adjustments that I made on them, fairly easy, not difficult to do at all. I did forget to put the pockets on, so maybe I should have just stuck with the inseam pockets, but I didn't know how well that would work with the split seam and the tie at the side, so I did not. But yeah, they were pretty easy and very comfy. They will definitely get worn. Will it look good with the rest of the outfit? Time will tell. But we're gonna move on to the next piece. I am trying to cram 2 pieces in today because I did nothing since I worked on those shorts at all for the rest of the week. I've been very lazy. I've been procrastinating. And now I've procrastinated so hard that I have a very limited amount of time to get this project done before I have to edit it so that it will upload on time. That is my own fault. I tend to procrastinate quite a lot when I should be doing things. So that's something I'm working on. Not very well at the moment, but it is what it is. And we're gonna start the next piece. So we're gonna move on to the corset lace crop top and see how quickly we can get that done. Ideally very quickly, because I wanna get the grommets hammered into the side of that before the kids go to bed so that I can actually do it and not have to wait until tomorrow to finish it. But first, let's take a moment to admire handsome Mr. Willoughby. He's being such a good boy for once. We're all set up. I've cut everything out of the lining, the main fabric, all of the interfacing. I've interfaced it all. I did not film that because quite honestly, ironing is boring. Nobody needs to see that. And everything's now pinned together. So basically I'm just gonna sew all of these seams all at once rather than going backwards and forwards. And then I'm going to attach the front lining to the front section and the back to the back section. I am not following any of the instructions for this pattern. I kind of vaguely know how to sew it based off the last time I did it, but I'm not doing the closure because it's actually meant to be a separating zipper on one side, and I don't want to do that. I'm gonna corset lace it. So that's what we're doing. I did cut myself a couple of little ties, one green and one pink, to do like a halter tie around the neck rather than doing straps because I did not feel like trying to do the math to figure out how long straps should be. So we're just gonna go with a halter tie. It is time to attach the linings to the actual pieces. lining to the fashion layer. That was what I was looking for. Time to attach the lining to the fashion layer. And I've just slid some very tiny spaghetti straps into the front to use as a halter tie, because I can't be bothered with actual straps. And hopefully I lined them up so that they're even on both sides. Not entirely sure. Kind of just guesstimated. So we're going to do that, see how it turns out, and then I can do the boning channel and grommets. Oh no, I just realized I need lacing for both sides. I'm going to use some temporary green ribbon lacing. I'll make more of the tape later. But anyway, I'm going to do that for the front and the back because they're two separate pieces. Let's go. I stuffed up. I put my straps in the wrong way. So I have to unpick those sections, turn them around, and then keep going. I should have noticed. I did not notice. Okay, I've got both of my front and my back pieces done. So now I need to sew a channel to put a piece of zip tie in there, or cable tie if you're in Australia like me. But regardless of whether you call it a zip tie or a cable tie, it's going in the side seams, and that's going to stabilize my grommets and hopefully prevent this from like folding in on itself when I lace it up. So I'm going to quickly sew those channels and get those inserted so that I can do the grommets before the kids go to bed. I doubt I'm going to actually fit in two different projects today. We might have to just do what we can do and finish it another day. And I will pay for my poor choices later. And we're just going to power straight into sewing up the channels for the boning here. I measured out 1 centimeter for this because my boning is a 0.9 millimeter thickness. Or 99, I have no idea. It was something like that. It was less than a centimeter wide, just. Once I'd done all of my channels, I trimmed down my 4 pieces of boning and rounded them off with the nail file that I had just kicking around somewhere. It was easy to access, so that is what I used. And then once all of these were nice and smooth so that nothing jagged was going to tear my skin open accidentally or tear through the fabric, which would be even worse because I don't want to fix that, I then slid them into their little homes inside the side seams, and that was pretty much done. It was nice and easy, or at least most of them were easy. I did have to really shove one of them in. It was a little bit tight. I really should have learnt my lesson by now because I am like 35 years old and I have been like this my entire life. I should not wear white. Exhibit A. I spilt mustard on my shirt. So I should probably go put some stain remover on it. But that involves finding another t-shirt to wear, which is not as hard as I made that sound. Like, they're in my wardrobe. I don't want to. I don't. So we're going to take the risk. I'll spray it later. But for now, it's time.
Hammer time.
For the sake of your delicate eardrums and the fact that the hammer is ridiculously loud, I will instead voice over this portion and let you know that the grommet kit that I am using is something that I ordered off Amazon because we love Amazon in this household. Next day free delivery is my bread and butter. I love that so much. So this is just a cheapy little kit. I picked out the color that seemed to go the best with the fabric that I had. I think it's like a gunmetal grey type thing. It's not quite silver. It's not really black. It's somewhere in between. And it did actually look really nice against the fabric. I was pretty happy with that. So I spent probably a good half an hour doing my grommets with these, and then it was done and I could get on to the next step.
All right, so that's all done. Now I just need to lace it up. As I said, I'm going to use just for now. I will eventually make some binding out of the same fabric, but not right now. I don't want to. And I also need to finish off the edge, which I was going to do with bias tape and then just fold up like a facing. Oh, I may have put one of the grommets too low for that. It'll be fine. Anyway, I need to do that. But again, I don't want to make it. So I'm going to check my sewing tub and see if I have any pre-made bias binding in there, because no one's going to look at the inside of this except me, so it does not need to be pretty.
I searched all through my little sewing accoutrement tub and unfortunately, fresh out of luck, there was no binding to be found. So I had to pivot. And at this point, I still did not want to make my own bias binding, so instead I actually just ripped some small thin rectangular strips of the homespun that I lined it in, and then I stitched it straight across the bottom, rolled it up, and then I hand stitched it down so that it would look neat on the inside. And while it may not be the correct way to do things, it worked for me in this case. So I'm just happy that I found an easy way to do this, but this is very much a case of do what I say and not what I do, because this is absolutely 100% not the correct way of doing it.
Hello, Rito. Hello, Rito. You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi? He really hates being picked up, but he secretly loves it. He loves cuddles. Well, he's gonna act real pissed off for the next 5 minutes, and then as soon as I sit on the couch, he's gonna jump in my lap. So, I'm done with this one. I think it was a little bit ambitious to get this other project done today, because it's 10 o'clock.
2,000 years later.
It probably will not come as a surprise that I procrastinated real hard again, and it's now almost 9:30, and I haven't even cut this pattern out yet. And when I say 9:30, I mean 9:30 at night. I'm gonna regret this so hard. Anyway, I have just done the adjustment on the pattern for the shirt. I just added a couple of centimeters and curved the side of it. I don't know, it was just the vibe I wanted to go for. I didn't want a straight across bottom. And then the cuff, I just want to extend this so it's longer up the arm, because I don't know, I think that'll be a cute vibe with the kind of balloon sleeves that this shirt's gonna have going on. Anyway, we're gonna give it a go and see how it works. We're not doing a mock-up. It is what it is. We're just gonna wing it.
A few moments later.
I made a critical error. I don't have enough fabric. I've cut out most of it. I have one piece. I just need to cut the shirt back out. And this is not enough. I also don't have time to go to Spotlight. So I think we're gonna have to call it here. And this co-ord outfit is just gonna be a top and short set, because while I was most excited about the shirt and probably should have made that one first, I did not, and hindsight is a beautiful thing. But here I am, I'm gonna have to go to Spotlight because I do want this shirt. It's just not gonna be this week. So without further ado, let's just skip to the part where I show you how this turned out. I'm going to be very, very, very honest. I kind of hate it. Or at least, I hate it together. I feel like I'm dressed for a day out at the beach, except autumn's just started and I have no use for a beach outfit because I don't do the beach because sand. Sensory nightmares. So, I think I'm also mildly disappointed that the one piece of this that I was super excited about was the overshirt with those massive sleeves, and I did not have enough fabric to complete it. And I think I'd be feeling a lot happier right now if I had. So, it is a bit of a bummer, but it's not all hopeless. Like, the shorts, they're very comfy. I love the style. I've made them as the pants multiple times. So those will definitely get worn. Probably just with a black t-shirt or a tank top because comfy. There's something I'll probably wear a lot around the house. That is what it is. I might venture out in them. Maybe. Maybe not. The fabric is a little bit bold. Like, I might have to work my way up to wearing something this bright. The top, she cute. She looks lovely. But the boning, it fixed the issue that I was having with the first version of this top that I made, but it rubs against my arm flab. Like, and it doesn't matter how much I tighten it so that it sits against my body. She rubbing, so that was a bit of a fail. Again, why the overshirt probably would have helped because that would have given my underarms some protection. Because, like, it's not uncomfortable just sitting in it or standing in it. It's when I move my arms, it kind of scratches and pokes a little bit. So that's a bit unpleasant, but with an overshirt, that could be rectified because that will give my arms some protection as I move them. It won't be scraping against my skin. Still probably not going to be ideal, but it is what it is. I don't care that much to fix it. So this is where we are. All in all, I'm feeling a little bit deflated and like my own poor choices really shot me in the foot this week. My combination of sophisticated procrastination that knows no bounds and poor planning did not make a very successful project. But you live and you learn, and next time I will try and be a little bit more organized and a little bit less procrastinating. So on that note, I'll see you lovely people in 2 weeks.